Hello and welcome back. So this video is a description of the worksheet entitled Roundtable Parts Discussion. And this really, again, helps guide you through an exercise that I find incredibly helpful. So this is when you have some kind of topic or situation that activates a lot of your parts. So it could be a certain person, it could be a certain event that happened in the past or a certain event that's coming up in the future. It could just be a topic in general, like money or health or in-laws or something, whatever it is. What I say is that you put the topic on the table and then you invite whatever parts have anything to say about that topic to the discussion. And it's a really, really valuable exercise to do. And you don't have to know the parts really well. Just listen to whoever says anything about that topic. So let me share this with you. So here's the worksheet. And again, you can download it in the PDF below this video. It's called the Roundtable Parts Discussion. So you choose a topic. You can practice this by just choosing any kind of topic you want and just practicing it. But then you'll likely want to use it when you notice that there's a lot of activity around a certain topic or a certain circumstance or person or upcoming event. And like I said, you can write it on the paper. You can use this worksheet, or you can just write this on a paper or on in a notebook or something, or you can just do it without paper if that's not supportive. But I like to write a circle, just draw a circle and write the topic in the center. And then I just wait and observe who's active, who wants to say anything about this, or who feels about this. And I'll notice how I'm feeling, physical sensations. I'll notice emotional energy. I'll notice thoughts. And I'll just write them all around the circle and acknowledge them. Like, I see you, and I see you, and I see you. So an example would be in my private Facebook group, I'll say, I'm going to put this topic on the table. What parts of you come up around this? So today the topic was the pandemic. And I imagine that everyone around the world has parts that come up around that topic because it was really a collective trauma. Everyone experienced something around that. So for me, I noticed a closing of my throat and a lot of adrenaline in my midsection, which is physical evidence of some of my fearful parts. And then I noticed kind of a deep sadness in my belly. I noticed a part more around my head that said something like it really liked being in lockdown because it's very introverted and didn't have to go out in crowds. I found lots of other parts that just had little things to say about it. And I just acknowledged each one. And it doesn't have to be for a long time. It can be very valuable just to sit for 30 seconds, a minute, and say, who's here around this? And just say, I see you. Nothing to even do about it. Just, I see you. I see that you're there. And a lot of the parts will settle just from being seen. So that's one value of it. But then there may be parts that have more to say that really want to be heard or helped in some way. So the self can listen to them and say, what do you need? And what do you need? And there might be polarized parts, right? There might be a part with a conflicting need, or it seems like a conflicting need. Needs aren't actually conflicting. It's the strategies that the parts have to meet their needs that might conflict. But as the self, you can kind of be the mediator and say, well, how can we come up with a creative solution that meets all of your needs? Let's all brainstorm together and, throw out ideas, but a solution will not be implemented unless it meets everyone's needs, right? So let's be creative together. It's us against the problem, not all the parts pulling. And so in that way, the self becomes the leader. And then you can create a plan, like it has at the bottom of the worksheet, a self-led plan. And there's an example below. For example, maybe there are parts that are really active around family coming for dinner that have all kinds of different concerns. So after the self has listened to them, they might come up with a plan of, we will not allow ourselves to be left alone with Uncle Fred. Like that's a boundary that we want to set. Or we will order food and we will ask for help cleaning up. We don't want to make the food ourselves. Or, and this is just an example, it might be totally different in your system. There might be a part that's really concerned that when we're tired, we're going to sit down and rest, because there are other parts that push and push until we collapse or tell us we have to keep going. But again, if there can be an agreement between the parts. And then maybe another thing of, if vulnerable parts get triggered, especially if family comes to dinner, right? We'll retreat to a private place to give them compassion and attention. So it's almost like you're making this contract or agreement with your parts of how you are going to take care of them when family comes. And so you're really being your own primary caregiver, but you can do it in an anticipatory way. You can have this parts meeting before something that you know will likely be a difficult situation. Sometimes you can't anticipate things. And so you might have this parts meeting after the fact, just to give loving attention and comfort to whatever parts were activated. But either way, on whatever side, it can be really, really valuable. So again, if you have any questions or you want to share your experience with me, go ahead and leave me a comment below. And I'd love to hear about it. I love hearing about all of this work. So